Excerpt from a local newspaper. Ominous unknown killer is still at large. After weeks of unexplained murders, the ominous unknown killer is still on the rise. After little evidence has been found, a young boy states that he survived one of the killer's attacks and bravely tells his story. I had a bad dream, and I woke up in the middle of the night, says the boy. I saw that for some reason the window was open, even though I remember it being closed when I went to bed. I got up to shut it once more. Afterwards, I simply crawled under my covers and tried to get back to sleep. That's when I had a strange feeling, like someone was watching me. I looked up, and I nearly jumped out of my bed. There, in the little ray of light illuminating between my curtains, were a pair of two eyes. These weren't regular eyes. They were dark, ominous eyes. They were bordered in black and just plain terrified me. That's when I saw his mouth, a long, horrendous smile that made every hair on my body stand up. The figure stood there, watching me. Finally, after what seems like forever, he said it, a simple phrase, but said in a way only a madman could speak. He said, "Go to sleep." I let out a scream. That's what sent him at me. He pulled up a knife, aiming at my heart. He jumped on top of my bed. I fought back. I kicked, I punched. I rolled around trying to knock him off of me. That's when my dad busted in. The man threw the knife. It went into my dad's shoulder. The man probably would have finished him off if one of the neighbors hadn't alerted the police. They drove into the parking lot and ran towards the door. The man turned down the hallway. I heard a smash like breaking glass. As I came out of my room, I saw the window that was pointing towards the back of my house was broken. I looked out to see him vanish in the distance. I can tell you one thing. I will never forget that face. Those cold, evil eyes. That psychotic smile. They will never leave my head. Police are still looking for this man. If you see anyone that fits this description in this story, please contact your local police department. Jeff and his family had just moved into a neighborhood, gotten a promotion at work, and they thought it would be best to live in one of those fancy neighborhoods. Jeff and his brother, Leo, couldn't complain though. A new, better house. What's not to love? As they were getting unpacked, one of the neighbors came by. "Hello," she said. "I'm Barbara. I live across the street from you." "Well, I just wanted to introduce myself and introduce my son." She turns around and calls for her son. "Billy, these are our new neighbors." Billy said hi and ran back to play in his yard. "Well," said Jeff's mom, "I'm Margaret. This is my husband Peter. And my two sons, Jeff and Leo." They introduced themselves, and then Barbara invited them to her son's birthday. Jeff and his brother were about to object when their mother said they would love to. When Jeff and his family are done packing, Jeff went up to his mom. "Mom, why would you invite us to some kid's party? If you haven't even noticed, I'm not some dumb kid." "Jeff," said his mother, "we just moved here. We should show you that we want to spend time with the neighbors. Now that you're going to that party, that's final." Jeff started to talk, but stopped himself, knowing that he couldn't do anything. Whenever his mom said something, it was final. He walked up to his room and plopped down onto his bed. He sat there looking at his ceiling when suddenly he got a weird feeling. Not so much a pain, but a weird feeling. He dismissed it as just some random feeling. He heard his mother call down to get his stuff. He walked down to get it. The next day, Jeff walked downstairs to get breakfast and got ready for school. As he sat there eating his breakfast, he once again got that feeling. This time it was stronger. It gave him a slight tugging pain. But once again he dismissed it. And as he and Leo finished his breakfast, they walked down to the bus stop. There they sat waiting for the bus, and then, all of a sudden, some kid on a skateboard jumped over them, only inches from their lap. They both jumped back in surprise. "Hey, what the hell?" The kid landed and turned back to them. He kicked his skateboard up and caught it in his hands. The kid seemed to be about 12, 1 year younger than Jeff. He wears an Aeropostale shirt and ripped blue jeans. "Well, well, well. Looks like we got some new meat. Suddenly, two other kids appeared. One was super skinny and the other one was huge. Well, since you're new here, I'd like to introduce ourselves. Over there is Keith. Jeff and Leo looked over to the skinny kid. He had a dopey face that you would expect a sidekick to have, and he's Troy. They looked over at the fat kid. Talk about a tub of lard. This kid looked like he hadn't exercised since he was crawling. And I, said the first kid, am Randy. Now, for all the kids in this neighborhood, there's a small price for bus fare, if you catch my drift. Leo stood up, ready to punch the lights out of the kid's eyes, when one of his friends pulled a knife on him. Tisk, tisk, tisk. I had hoped you would be more cooperative, but it seems like we must do this the hard way. The kid walked up to Leo and took his wallet out of his pocket. Jeff got that feeling again. Now it was truly strong, a burning sensation. He stood up, but Leo gestured him to sit down. Jeff ignored him and walked up to the kid. Listen here, you little punk. Give me back my bro's wallet, or else. Randy put the wallet in his pocket and pulled out his own knife. Oh, and what will you do? Just as he finished the sentence, Jeff popped him right in the nose. As Randy reached for his face, Jeff grabbed the kid's wrist and broke it. Randy screamed and Jeff grabbed the knife from his hand. Troy and Keith rushed to Jeff, but Jeff was too quick. He threw Randy on the ground. Keith lashed out at him, but Jeff ducked and stabbed him in the arm. Keith dropped his knife and fell to the ground screaming. Troy rushed to him, but Jeff didn't even need the knife. He punched Troy straight in the stomach and Troy went down. As he fell, he puked all over. Leo could do nothing but look in amazement at Jeff. Jeff, how'd you... That's all he said. They saw the bus coming and they knew they'd be blamed for the whole thing, so they started running as fast as they could. As they ran, they looked back and saw the bus driver rushing over to Randy and the others. As Jeff and Leo made it to school, they didn't dare tell what happened. All they did was sit and listen. Leo just thought of that as his brother beating up a few kids, but Jeff knew it was more. It was something just scary. As he got that feeling, he felt how powerful it was, the urge to just hurt someone. He didn't like how it sounded, but he couldn't help but feeling happy. He felt that strange feeling go away and stay away for the entire day of school, even as he walked home due to the whole thing near the bus stop. And how now he probably wouldn't be taking the bus anymore. He felt happy. When he got home, his parents asked him how his day was, and he said, in somewhat ominous voice, "It was a wonderful day." Next morning, he heard a knock on his front door. He walked down to find two police officers at the door, his mother looking back at him with an angry look. "Jeff, these officers tell me that you attacked 3 kids. That it wasn't regular fighting, and that they were stabbed." "Stabbed, son." Jeff's gaze fell to the floor, showing his mother that it was true. "Mom, they were the ones who pulled the knives on me and Leo." "Son," said one of the cops, "we found 3 kids, 2 stabbed, one having a bruise on his stomach, and we have witnesses proving that you fled the scene. Now what does that tell us?" Jeff knew it was no use. He could say him and Leo had been attacked, but there was no proof it was not them who attacked first. They couldn't say they weren't fleeing, because truth be told, they were. So Jeff couldn't defend himself or Leo. "Son, call down your brother." Jeff couldn't do it, since it was him who beat up all the kids. "Sir, it was me. I was the one who beat up all the kids. Leo tried to hold me back, but he couldn't stop me." The cops looked at his partner and they both nod. "Well, kid, it looks like a year in juvie." "Wait," says Leo. They all look up to see him holding a knife. The officers pulled their guns and locked them on Leo. "It was me. I beat up those little punks. Have the marks to prove it." He lifted up his sleeves to reveal cuts and bruises, as if it was in a struggle. "Son, just put down the knife," said the officer. Leo held the knife and dropped it to the ground. He put his hands up and walked over to the cops. No, Leo, it was me. I did it. Jeff had tears in his eyes. Huh, poor bro. Trying to take the blame for what I did. Well, take me away. The police led Leo out to the patrol car. Leo, tell them it was me. Tell them. I was the one who beat up those kids. Jeff's mother put her hands on his shoulder. Jeff, please, you don't have to lie. We know it's Leo. You can't stop. Jeff watched helplessly as the car sped off with Leo inside. A few minutes later, Jeff's dad pulled into the driveway, seeing Jeff's face and knowing something was wrong. Son, what is it? Jeff couldn't answer. His vocal cords were strained from crying. Instead, Jeff's mother walked his father inside to break the bad news to him as Jeff wept in the driveway. After an hour or so, Jeff walked back into the house. Seeing that his parents were both shocked, sad, and disappointed, he couldn't look at them. He couldn't see how they thought Leo when it was his fault. He just went to sleep, trying to get the whole thing off his mind. 2 days went by, with no word from Leo at the GDC. No friends to hang out with, nothing but sadness and guilt. That is until Saturday, when Jeff is woke up by his mother, a happy, sunshiny face. Jeff, it's the day, she said as she opened up the curtains and light flooded the room. What? What's today? Asked Jeff as he stirs awake. Why, it's Billy's party. Now he was fully awake. Mom, you're joking, right? You don't expect me to go to some kid's party after... There was a long pause. Jeff, we both know what happened. I think this party could be the thing that brightened up the past days. Now, get dressed. Jeff's mother walked out of the room and downstairs to get ready herself. He fought himself to get up. He picked out a random shirt and a pair of jeans and walked downstairs. He saw his mother and father dressed up. His mother in a dress and his father in a suit. He thought, why would they ever wear such fancy clothes to a kid's party? Son, that's all you're going to wear, said Jeff's mom. Better than wearing too much, he said. His mother pushed down the feeling to yell at him and hid it with a smile. Now, Jeff, we may be overdressed. That's how you're supposed to go if you want to make an impression, said his father. Jeff grunted and went back up to his room. I don't have fancy clothes, he yelled downstairs. Just pick something, called his mother. He looked around the closet for what he would call fancy. He found a pair of black dress pants he had for special occasions and an undershirt. He couldn't find a shirt to go with it, though. He looked around, only striped and patterned shirts, nothing which could go with the dress pants. He finally found a white hoodie he put on. You're wearing that? They both said. His mother looked at her watch. Oh, no time to change. Let's just go, she said as she herded Jeff and his father out of the door. They crossed the street over to Barbara and Billy's house. They knocked onto the door, and it appeared that Barbara, just like his parents, way overdressed. As they walked inside, all Jeff could see were adults, no kids. The kids are out in the yard, Jeff. How about you go meet some of them, said Barbara. Jeff walked outside to the yard full of kids. They were running around wearing weird cowboy costumes and shooting each other with plastic guns. He might as well be standing in a Toys R Us. Suddenly a kid came up to him and handed him a toy gun and a hat. Hey, wanna play? He said. No, kid. I'm way too old for this stuff. The kid looked at him with this weird puppy dog face. Please, said the kid. Fine, said Jeff. He put on the hat and started to pretend to shoot at kids. First, he thought it was totally ridiculous, but then he started to actually have fun. It might have been not super cool, but this was the first time he had done something that took his mind off Leo. So he played with the kids for a while until he heard a noise. A weird rolling noise. Then it hit him. Randy, Troy, and Keith all jumped over the fence on their skateboards. Jeff dropped the fake gun and ripped off the hat. Randy looked at Jeff with burning hatred. "Hello, Jeff, is it?" he said. "We have some unfinished business." Jeff saw a bruised nose. "I think we're even. I beat the crap out of you, and you get my brother sent to GDC. Randy got an angry look in his eyes. "Oh, no, I don't go for even. I go for winning. You may have kicked our asses that one day, but not today." As he said that, Randy pushed at Jeff. They both fell to the ground. Randy punched Jeff in the nose, and Jeff grabbed him by the ears and headbutted him. Jeff pushed Randy off of him, and they both rose to their feet. Kids were screaming, and parents were running out of the house. Troy and Keith both pulled their guns out of their pockets. "No one interrupts or guts will fly," they said. Randy pulled a knife on Jeff and stabbed it into his shoulder. Jeff screamed and fell to his knees. Randy started kicking him in the face. After 3 kicks, Jeff grabbed his foot and twisted it, causing Randy to fall to the ground. Jeff stood up and walked towards the back door. Troy grabbed him. "Need some help?" He picked up Jeff by the back of the collar and throws him onto the patio floor. Jeff tries to stand, but he's kicked down to the ground repeatedly by Randy until he started to cough up blood. "Come on, Jeff, fight me." He picks up Jeff and throws him to the kitchen. Randy sees a bottle of vodka on the counter and smashes the glass over Jeff's head. "Fight!" He throws Jeff back into the living room. "Come on, Jeff, look at me." Jeff glances up, his face riddled with blood. "I was the one who got your brother sent to the GDC, and now you're just gonna sit here and let him rot there for the whole year? You should be ashamed." Jeff starts to get up. "Oh, finally, you stand up and fight." Jeff is now to his feet, blood and vodka on his face. Once again, he gets the strange feeling, the one where he hasn't felt for a while. "Finally, he's up," says Randy as he runs at Jeff. That's when it happens. Something inside Jeff snaps. His psyche is destroyed. All rational thinking gone. All he can do is kill. He grabs Randy and pile drives him into the ground. He gets on top of him and punches him straight in the heart. The punch causes Randy's heart to stop. As Randy gasps for breath, Jeff hammers him down. Punch after punch, blood gushes from Randy's body till he takes one final breath and dies. Everyone is now looking at Jeff. The parents, the crying kids, even Troy and Keith. Although they easily break from their gaze the point of their guns at Jeff, Jeff sees the guns trained on him as he runs for the stairs. As he runs, Troy and Keith let fire out on him, each shot missing. Jeff runs up the stairs. He hears Troy and Keith following behind. As they let out their final rounds of bullets, Jeff ducks under the bathroom. He grabs the towel rack and rips it from the wall. Troy and Keith race in, knives ready. Troy swings his knife at Jeff, who backs away and bangs the towel rack into Troy's face. Troy goes down hard, and now all that's left is Keith. He's more agile than Troy, though, and he ducks when Jeff swings the towel rack. He dropped the knife and grabbed Jeff by the neck. He pushed him into the wall. A thing of bleach fell down on top of him from the top shelf. It burned both of them, and they both started to scream. Jeff wept his eyes as best as he could. He pulled back the towel rack and swung it straight at Keith's head. As he lay there, bleeding to death, he let out an ominous smile. "What's so funny?" asked Jeff. Keith pulled out a lighter and switched it on. "What's funny," he said, "is that you're covered in bleach and alcohol." Jeff's eyes widened as Keith threw a lighter at him. As soon as the flame made contact with him, the flames ignited the alcohol and vodka. While the alcohol burned him, the bleach bleached his skin. Jeff let out a terrible screech as he caught on fire. He tried to roll out the fire, but it was no use. The alcohol made him a walking inferno. He raced down the hall and fell down the stairs. Everybody started screaming as they saw Jeff. now a man on fire, dropped to the ground, nearly dead. The last thing Jeff saw was his mother and other parents trying to extinguish the flame. That's when he passed out. When Jeff awoke, he had a cast wrapped around his face. He couldn't see anything, but he felt the cast on his shoulder and stitches all over his body. He tried to stand up, but he realized that there was some tube on his arm. And when he tried to get up, it fell out, and a nurse rushed in. "I don't think you can get out of bed just yet," she said. She put him back in his bed and reinserted the tube. Jeff sat there, no vision, no idea what his surroundings were. Finally, after hours, he heard his mother. "Honey, are you okay?" she said. Jeff couldn't answer, though. His face was covered, unable to speak. "Oh, honey, I have some great news. After all the witnesses told the police that Randy confessed of trying to attack you, they decided to let Leo go." This made Jeff almost bolt up, stopping halfway, remembering the tube coming out of his arm. "He'll be out by tomorrow. Then you two will be together again." Jeff's mother hugs Jeff and says her goodbyes. The next couple of weeks were those where Jeff was visited by his family. And then the day came where his bandages were removed. His family were all there to see it, what he looked like. As a doctor unwrapped his bandages from Jeff's face, everyone was on the edge of their seats. They waited until the last bandages holding the cover of his face was removed. "Let's hope for the best," said the doctor. He quickly pulls the cloth, letting the rest fall from Jeff's face. Jeff's mother screams at the sight of his face. Leo and Jeff's dad stare, awestruck at his face. "What? What happened to my face?" said Jeff. He rushed out of the bed and ran to the bathroom. He looked in the mirror and saw the causes of distress. His face, it's horrible. His lips were burnt a deep shade of red. His face was turned into a pure white color, and his hair singed from brown to black. He slowly put his hand on his face. It had sort of a leathery feel to it now. He looked back at his family at the mirror. "Jeff," said Leo, "it's not that bad." "Not bad," said Jeff, "it's perfect." His family were equally surprised. Jeff started laughing uncontrollably. His parents noticed that in his left eye and hand were twitching. Jeff, are you okay?" "Okay, I've never felt more happy." "Look at me. This face goes perfectly with me." He couldn't stop laughing. He stroked his face and feeling it, looking at the mirror. "What causes this?" "Well, you may recall that when Jeff was fighting Randy, something on his mind, his sanity, snapped. Now he was left as a crazy killing machine. That is, his parents didn't know yet." "Doctor," said Jeff's mom, is my son alright? In the head?" "Oh yeah, this behavior is typical for patients who have taken a large amount of painkillers. If this behavior doesn't change in a few weeks, bring him back here, and we'll give him a psychological test." "Oh, thank you, doctor." Jeff's mother went over to Jeff. "Jeff, sweetie, it's time to go." Jeff looks away from the mirror, his face still formed into a crazy smile. "Yay, mommy." His mother took him by the shoulder and took him to get his clothes. "This is what came in," the lady said at the desk. Jeff's mom looked down to see black dress pants and a white hoodie her son wore. They were now clean of blood and now stitched together. Jeff's mother led him to his room and made him put his clothes on. Then they left, not knowing that this was their final day of life. Later that night, Jeff's mother woke to a sound coming from the bathroom. It sounded as if someone was crying. She slowly walked over to see what it was. When she looked into the bathroom and saw a horrendous sight. Jeff had taken a knife and carved a smile on his cheeks. "Jeff, what are you doing?" asked his mother. Jeff looked over to his mother. "I couldn't keep smiling, Mommy. It hurt after a while. Now, I can smile forever." Jeff's mother noticed his eyes, ringed in black. "Jeff, your eyes!" His eyes were seemingly never closing. I couldn't see my face. I got tired and my eyes were starting to close. I burned my eyelids so I could see myself forever. My new face. Jeff's mother slowly started to back away, seeing that her son was going insane. "What's wrong, Mommy? Aren't I beautiful?" Yes, son," she said. "Yes, you are. Let me go get Daddy, so he can see your face." She ran into the room and shook Jeff's dad awake. "Honey, get the gun." She stopped as she saw Jeff in the doorway, holding a knife. "Mommy, you lied." That's the last thing they hear as Jeff rushes at them with a knife, gutting them both. His brother, Leo, woke up, startled by some noise. He didn't hear anything else, so he just shut his eyes and tried to go back to sleep. As he was on the border of slumber, he got the strangest feeling that someone was watching him. He looked up. Before Jeff, before Jeff's hands were covered, it covered his mouth. He slowly raised the knife, ready to plunge into Leo. Leo thrashed here and there, trying to escape Jeff's grip. "Shh," Jeff said. "Just go to sleep."